Right over here, so it's on the screen. Let me share my screen. That might help. Put you guys over here. Participants. There. And let me open up the chat. All right, it's Friday. You guys, let's go ahead and I want to at least see you guys. I'm, not enough interaction with people these days, so go ahead and turn your cameras on. I'm not going to have to keep them on all day. I just want to say hi and make sure that you're paying attention and seeing how your Friday is going. I had my son had a bad day. He crashed his car he's at college right now and munched his car pretty good on the icy roads up there in Cheney, so that's not good. So that's what's going on with my Friday. And my daughter's getting her wisdom teeth out today, so it could be a red letter. Well, that'll be good for her though, but she's going to be in pain for the weekend. So, all right. Okay, so if you need to turn off your cameras so you got the bandwidth, you guys that didn't turn your cameras on, I need you to do that just once. I don't care if you have bandwidth problems. I just want to see you. So to know you're there. All right. So like I said, if you don't know, it's Friday. We are going to finish. We were working on 3.5. I'm going to do the practice test A. If we don't get to it today, I'll make a video so you can finish that one with me walking you through that. I'm going to have you do B on your own. The practice does not have very good instructions, so I probably am just going to skip that. I was working on it last night, and it didn't. What they want you to do, you can't. They haven't given you enough information to do that yet. I could do it. I know how to manipulate a array, but that's not. Anyway, so we're going to kind of bypass those, but the practices are good. All right, so on 3.5, let's go ahead and open that with your code lab. And I am going to get screenshots of all these for the section 2 that we just finished out there. So if you were behind or whatever, you can get caught up doing those as well. Do I have everybody share that's here? Mr. Rose. All right. So okay, so we're going to move on. And let's get this done. So little recap here. So we're working on if and elif or else if. So if it's not true on one, you can do an elif. In the next section, we're actually going to do nested if statements, which is what I'm more accustomed to, but this works. We talked about basic math, PEMDAS. I will tell you on the Microsoft Python certification test, they do throw one at you. They're asking you what the output is on a couple of these, and there is one that if you don't do the order of operations, it will catch you. So a lot of times you forget to do the multiplication before you do the addition. So make sure you're doing your parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction. All right, so this was examples and we ran them, and integer plus integer gives you an integer. This has 3 plus and 2 plus operations and 1 minus operation. So those plus and minus are at the same level in the PEMDAS, so it doesn't really matter which one you do first. Division, even if you start out with integers, division will always return a float. So be aware of that. It always, even if it doesn't have a remainder, it will always return a float. The 5 times 5, that's straight multiplication. And then this one we had to force the 19 divided by 4, because it would have done 8 times 19 first, because multiplication comes before division in PEMDAS. So just be aware of that. That can affect the way things look. All right, millionaire maker. Basically, we're going to take a number. Did we do this one? Have you guys, do you have this one done? Give me a yes or no in the. I know we were breaking. I thought I made a message that I think we did this one already. Okay. All right. So basically, you take the number, you turn it into an integer. Remember, casting means that you take all input will always be a string. Doesn't matter if it looks like a number, it's still a string. So if you need to do math with it, you must turn it into an integer. Okay? And then you can do your math with it. All right? That just adds 6 zeros to it to make it whatever the number is, million. Print the result. It's a subtraction. It's a multiplication. It's a division. Again, always is a float. Another division divided by a half, which is the same as multiplying by 2, right? For you math guys. Addition plus what you wanted to do, and then subtracting. So it tells you using parentheses to force the order of operation. Same with this one, using parentheses to force the order of operation. All right, here we go. Multiplying calculator function. Define a function called multiply, and within the functions, get user input on 2 strings of whole numbers, cast those strings to integers, and then multiply and return the equation as a result and as a string. So we're going to cast the information back. All right. So first of all, it says create a function. Well, to create a function, we need the word def. A little bit big. I'm just trying to make it bigger so you guys can see. All right, we need the word def. Find a function, multiply within factors, get 2 input strings. So multiply. Now we're going to get the input inside the function, so we don't have to send any arguments. So we give it a name that you choose, or they told you that they want you to use. Open and close parentheses, which tells it is a function, and then we need to have our colon. In Python, everything that's indented will be part of the function until it sees the code go back to position 1. So it says get 2 strings. So we're going to do num1 equals input, open parenthesis, open quote, enter first number to multiply. And we're going to save ourselves a little time. We're going to cut and paste, highlight it, Control C, Control V, change the 1 to a 2, change the first to a second. Okay, when you multiply things, I think it's a product, right? So we're going to do, instead of sum, we're going to do prod, or product, equals int sum1 multiplied by int sum2 and return the prod. And then we're going to print remember, when whatever gets returned, the whole function name takes on the value. So we're just going to call the function from within the print statement, and that should work. Oh, I am at the same level as the indentation, so it thought it was part of the function, and so nothing happened because when I hit enter, even though I hit enter twice, it still put it indented for me. So let's try that again now. Dun, 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 dun. Multiply is not defined. Control C. Control because I put multiply instead of multiply. So I cut and pasted the function name up there and pasted it down there. That way I don't make spelling errors. All right, enter the first number. We're going to do a 6. Enter the next number. We're going to do a 2. Okay. And it output. Oh, we're supposed to return that as a string. But why it makes a difference, I don't know. But we're going to just turn it back into a string. Run it again. 6, 2. Ooh, what happened? Oh, I had a 2 in there for some reason. 6, 2. There we go. Thought I was trying to change it to base 2 with the 2. That's interesting. Okay, I don't know. Weird. But that works now. I must have had a weird character in there. 6, 2 should give me 12. All right, so as far as we know, the first time it was output, it was an integer. The next time it was a string. But so that also means that we can say And we should be able to use a plus sign there because this is a string and that's a string, so it should concatenate them. 6, 2. There we go. A little bit better output. I like nicer, cleaner output. And that proves that it is a string, because without that, if we ran it that way, we should get an error. Can't make a string so we're going to make it a string again. I just did that to show you the all right. We'll leave that code there for just a second. Okay, improved multiplying calculator, putting together conditionals, input, casting, and math. Update the multiply function to multiply or divide. All right. The default operation is multiply. And if operator other than a star or a forward slash, then return an invalid operator. Okay. Okay, so when I did this the other day, there was a way to tell it to give it a, if you don't pass an argument, you can do an equal sign in the parameter of the definition of the thing. But if we send a blank string, then it treats it as a just a kind of a null character, but doesn't do the default. I tried it the other day, so we're gonna introduce the AND command or the OR command. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at. I'll as we go along. We might have to play with it a little bit to make it work. So we're gonna do def. We're gonna call it multiply again. But this time we're gonna send it to. We're gonna send it an operator. Single parameter that is the operator. And I'm going to do it the way that I think that it would happen. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So we're just going to do this. All right, so since we're modifying what we have up above, let's just go grab our two input statements from above and copy and paste them. Control C, come down here, Control V. All right. And we're not necessarily multiplying, we're calculating. Because this one we're going to add whether we're going to do addition or subtraction. All right. So we're going to do if operator is equal to null, or if the operator is equal, so two equal signs, to the star. So if we send it a blank or we send it nothing, then we're going to treat it as a multiplication. If we send it the star, we're going to treat that as a multiplication. Okay, so that's where the or comes in. So one of them, if in an or statement, if either one of them is true, then the code gets executed. Okay. And so that's the default, the operator's default by. Okay. Actually, we should do that before we call it. If they don't put anything in, then we make it a star. Yeah, I'm going to switch modes here now that I think about this. I'm going to use this down below, but we're gonna not we'll take the input in the multiply, but we're gonna take the input of the operator down here, and we'll test it before we call, because if they put an invalid one in, we don't have to call call it at all. So this is better logic. All right, so here we go. We are going to say, so print. All right, so this function will multiply or divide two numbers depending on your choice. So for the user underscore operator. So this is the operator I'm going to get from the user. So I gave it a name user underscore operator. It's going to be input. Enter a star for multiply or a / for divide. All right, so in this case, we're going to still check to see if they put a null in or the star. If they did, we're going to call multiply. Passing the user operator. And then when it comes back, actually, we're going to just print that. Then we're going to have an elif. We're checking the user operator here. Make sure, since we're not doing it in the function, using the variable that's we get in the main. Okay, now let's put a little note in there. This is where the main program starts. That's something we should get used to doing too. So if user underscore operator equals, or two equals, / is underneath the question mark. And we're going to make the same call, but we're just passing a different operator, so we'll deal with that up in the thing. And then we have our else. That if they don't put in a forward slash, so in the first one, if they put in a star, then it's going to run this one. If they put in a, if that's false, it's going to check to see if they put in a forward slash. If that's true, it makes the call. If that's false, then it prints you. So that should take care of making sure we get the right operator. We check to see if it's one. We check to see if it's the other one. If it's neither one of those two, then it's not right, and we're just going to tell them wrong operator. Okay. Now down here we do a. We'll see if this works. We might have to do an if statement. I don't think I can throw a variable right in the middle and have it do the math. I don't think that's going to work, but we'll try. Yeah, it definitely didn't like that. All right, so we still have to do the same thing. So we're going to do if operator equals the star. Oh, that's the one thing I want to do. I'm going to add a line in there basically that says if this is true, I'm going to make the user operator a star. If it's already a star, it just restores it just replaces it. It doesn't make any difference. But if they don't put anything in, if they just hit enter, then it makes it a star. Why do I do that? Because up here I would have to check both of them again. By doing that, I don't have to check. So the only way it's going to get in here is whether it's a star, a blank, a star, or a forward slash. And if it's a blank, I'm going to make it a star, and then it will take care of that. So now I can just check for the star because I know that I've filled that. So we're going to do return num1 multiplied by num2. Else return num1 divide by num2. I'm going to put those in parentheses just to make sure that they are all nice and neatly held together. And that. Oh, I'm going to get rid of that other return statement altogether. All right, so I'm going to put in just an enter first, and then put in a 10, and then a 2, and I got return. Type error. Oh, duh. We got to turn those into integers. So I'm going to do it on input this time. I'm going to put int on the input. There's different ways you can do it. Now we're not double checking to make sure that it is a number, so that means if they don't put a number in, it's going to crash. And in real programming world, we would make sure that it's a number, but we're not. We're just trying to make it do it on the fly. So we're going to hit enter, and 10, and 2, And 10 times 2 is 20. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to check all of my things. Check just hitting enter. I'm going to check inputting a star. I'm going to check inputting a forward slash, and then I'm going to check not putting any of those in and make sure it works. Also, I'm going to put a colon after that. Get out of there. And so that it's not bunched right up against my input. Okay, so this time I'm going to do the star, and then I'm going to say 15 times 3, which should be 45, and I get 45. Okay. Okay, so now I need to check. So I've checked the star. Let's check the divide. So I'm going to put a forward slash, and 45 divided by 15 should give me 3, because we just did that calculation, and I get 3.0. Remember, division always returns a that. And now we're going to run and give it some other character like an A for add, and that should say invalid operator. Perfect. Okay. All right, there's the code for that. I know I made it kind of small, so you can, let me see how big I can actually get it. Close up my, there we go. That's a little better. Yeah, so remember we had to only check for the star because I did take care of this just hitting enter. If they just hit enter, that's where if they put no parameter in or no information in, then we're going to convert it to a star. So that saved me having to do an OR statement up here in the function, because I took care of at least validating it that way. All right, let's see if we can fix the error we got here. Any ideas? What's wrong with the code? Good, good. All right, we've discovered it. If statements, function definitions, and any other structure that has looping or some sort of indentation needs to have a colon at the end of it. So elif needs to have a colon, even though there is no, let's do it up in the code and not in the error. So now it should run this statement and we should be done. Enter the name. Congratulations. First names will start. Okay. All right. So if you put an F, it says, congratulations, name starting with F, get to go first today. Run it again. We put a G because that's the other one. Notice I put a lowercase g and it still took it because on line 2, they ran it through a capitalization before they stored it in student name. So this will take all the input and we'll capitalize it and then store it in student name, because remember, everything on this side of the equal sign has to get done before it is assigned back to the variable. And then if we put in an A, should say, please wait for students with names that start with an F and a G to go first today. Okay? And anything else we put in there besides an F, and if we do FFFF, it still should work because they're using the starts with. Okay? It doesn't care what you put in after that. So it's checking, so I could do FGA and it's still congratulations, or enter your name. I got you. So it is, my name is Frank. Yep. Aha. And Fred gets to go first. And Gene gets to go second. And Mr. B gets to go last. All right. And that's, again, when we're doing code, you need to test all of your inputs to make sure that all of the functions, your if then else, all work. Because if you don't, you may have an error in a code that doesn't run if it's not true, and then it'll crash later on. Okay. All right. It's a Friday. We could move on to the practice A. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go over it. You guys should, I'm going to assign this as the weekend, your assignment until we meet again. It's pretty short. Yeah, you guys should be able to do this one on your own. So it'll be the assignment for the weekend. Okay, let's go over it a little bit. So input a variable age as a digit and cast it to an int. If age is greater than or equal to 12, then print the message age. Your age in 10 years will be, else print it's good to be that age. So you're going to do an input into a digit called age. You're going to cast it to an int. You can either do it on the fly like we did before, or you can do it later. You could do something like age. After the input, you can do age equals a or int age. And what that'll do is so after your input, and I'm not going to put the input in there, but you guys can figure it out. Age equals input in your prompt. So you have a variable called age, always comes in as a string. This side of the equal signs gets evaluated first, and then it stores it back in age. So it takes it out of age, it does its function or does its work, and then it puts it back in. Okay. And then you're going to print, if it's greater than or equal to 12, you're going to add 10 to age and output that. So if you put in a 10, it should say you will be 20 in 10 years. If you put in a 50, it'll say you will be 60 in 10 years, and so on. If it's less than, then the else part is just going to output a print statement that says it's good to be, and then re-output the age. So if you put in a 10, it'll say it's good to be 10, or it's good to be 11. And it could even say it's good to be 12 because equal to will actually, no, 12 won't work because it's greater than or equal to 12. So once you put 12 in, the first one will be true. Okay. Oh, yeah, this one. It doesn't make any sense. If I was looking at this last night, if a number is not a digit, cast it to int. You can't cast a variable, a string, to an int if it's not a digit. So if number is not a digit, cast it to int. You can't do that. I think it's supposed to say if number is a digit, cast it to int. So you're going to do a is digit. If it's not a digit, you output invalid input. So make a note of that one, and I'll see what I can do about. You guys have already made copies of it, so it's really hard for me to. I'd have to open up all of yours and fix it, which way I guess wouldn't be too bad. Okay. And then the last one, you're going to create. Oh, actually, there's a couple of them. So you're going to create a definition called check guess with two arguments called letter and guess. Oops. Two arguments called letter and guess. Both expect a single alpha character. So again, we're not validating, so you're just going to have to assume that they input, make it work with a single character, not with multiple characters. If guess is not an alpha, it's not a letter, return false. Print guess high, low, or return. So you're going to have a variable of a number that you're trying to guess, and you're going to compare it to the letter that the user inputs. And then test print if it's correct and return true. So you're going to kind of have a couple if statements. One to see if it's higher than the letter. Because remember, letters in a string are just based on the ASCII value. So A, if you put an A is greater than B, that'll be, it's higher. If C is less than A, that'll be lower. No, A is not greater than B. A is less than, because A is 65 and B is 66. So A is less than B. So it's lower in the alphabet or earlier in the alphabet. Okay. So you're going to check first to see if it's greater than. That means if it's a B, if it's after the letter, then you're too high. If it's low, then or if it's just right. So you're going to return one of those. It's too high, it's too low, or it's true, correct. That's your only three options. And the last one has to do with create a guess letter function that gives the user three guesses. Take a character argument for the answer letter, get the user input. Check guess after 3 fails. All right, so you're going to have to create a counter. Usually you create a variable called count or something like that. And then each time you have a missed guess, since we haven't introduced looping yet, you're going to have an if statement that says, if it's this, And if it fails, you update the counter and then check the next if statement. Okay. So you're going to have to call it 3 times. And each time you call it in your main program, you keep track of if the guess is correct or if they've, after 3 attempts. It's going to take some thinking to get that one done. And we are out of time. So have a good weekend. Do you guys have a question? Dolan, William, Sydney? Hello?
Oh.
No
Sorry.
question?
I thought I left, but apparently not.
Okay. William, you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you have a question?
I'm here.
Did you have a question?
I thought I left, but apparently not. No, I didn't.
Okay, have a good weekend.